I think this is probably the best. I'm gonna get the camera to be set up. Got the AC running, so I'm gonna have to speak much loudly. So yeah, I'm not yelling at you guys, I promise. So this video is titled "Why Natural Bodybuilding Shows Suck." Yeah, you heard it first. They fucking suck. I'm gonna tell you why. They don't suck because they're natural. They suck because of the reasons I'm listing right the hell now. So yeah, I wrote a script, of course, because my mind isn't going correctly. Mine isn't exactly. I'm not exactly the best at freestyle. Okay, so for starters, contestants have to diet down to body fat percentages that make them appear emaciated and very sickly. So aside from the natural bodybuilder feeling like shit, right? They lose 75% of their size because they have to diet down to extreme levels of conditioning by restricting calories and depriving themselves of water, fat, glycogen, all these components that make the muscle, that give the muscle a very full look. Now, if you look at these natural bodybuilders, if you look at how they look off season, not the ones who get fat as fuck, but the ones who look off season. Now, prior to them getting to like 5% body fat, whenever they're roughly like 10 or 12 or somewhere around that range, they look impressive. They look, wow, it just looks incredible. Their bicep size at its maximum. Hell, their strength is at its maximum. Well, it's not its maximum, but they're relatively stronger at a higher body fat percentage relative to their stage weight, and they also feel much better, right? So, from a visual standpoint, they don't look as impressive as they could look because they're forced to diet down to body fat percentages that are extremely low. So yeah, that's an issue. So 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 when they lose, when you're cutting down to roughly like 5% body fat, you're sub 10% body fat. You're playing a very dangerous game here. You're going to lose some size. It's going to happen. You're going to lose some water, and muscle is lost as well. Yeah, this happens. You can only conserve so much muscle when you're in this. When you're in a caloric deficit in the state of perpetual dieting, you can only retain a certain amount of muscle. You can only retain so much muscle. Okay, so yeah, in truth, most naturals lose their impressive size once they diet down below 8% body fat. Yeah, you heard it first. Like what up? You heard. I'm sure you've watched a lot of videos about this, but you've heard it from me. They lose their size. They lose what makes them look impressive. Their imposing size. They lose that. Take the keto bodybuilder for instance, right? Yeah, I've been watching his videos for a long time now. Well, not a long time, but relatively, I've been binge watching a lot of his videos. Now, his physique looks bonkers and well developed. It looks insane. Yeah, and by the way, as a side tangent, I've been spamming his comment section with the hopes of him also convincing him to cosplay as Escanor from Seven Deadly Sins because he kind of reminds me of Escanor. Yeah, he has the fucking mustache, the hair, all that shit, right? But he's not cosplaying at all. He doesn't like cosplaying. Yeah, I don't think he watches anime, but we'll talk about that for some other time. Okay, so anyways, he recently went through one of the most successful bulking phases I've ever witnessed on this platform. You know how dudes say they're gonna go on a bulk and they just get fat as fuck. They lose their six pack. They lose their vascularity. They lose what makes them a quintessential bodybuilder in the eyes of their peers and even in the eyes of normies. They lose their aesthetics with the hopes of gaining some sort of impressive number on their 5x5, their 1 rep max, which I don't know why the fuck all these natural bodybuilders are chasing these 1 rep maxes. It's dumb as fuck, and they also chase it in a manner in which, well, I love 1 rep maxes myself, don't get me wrong, but they chase it in a manner in which they sacrifice aesthetics in order to get these things. Now that isn't my goal, but you have individuals who they love bodybuilding, however they're naturally, they love bodybuilding, however they compromise their aesthetics because they want to push this arbitrary weight. They want to get to these arbitrary strength standards that they got caught into via powerlifting. So the keto bodybuilder went from shredded to a much more moderate amount of shred, aligning with his goals of adding size while simultaneously retaining aesthetics. This is what most bulk bros feel horribly at doing. Most bulk bros, like I said previously, they diet for 6 months of the year. No, they bulk up for 6 months of the year. In which they're trying to put on as much weight as possible. And they're not even starting from a relatively lean standpoint. They're starting from a body fat percentage that is like, hell, saying they're 17% from a starting standpoint is I'm being very generous when I say that shit. Because if you look at most of these bulk bros, they're already fat as fuck to begin with. They're kind of pudgy, and so they want to add a lot of mass. They want to add the most amount of mass in which they can. And consequently, as of doing so, they go from 17% body fat above 20%. They end up just looking like complete marshmallow boys. They just look like water buffaloes, right? And yeah, you look impressive in a t-shirt, but when you take that t-shirt off, whatever, and you have to show yourself in a tank top. But even in a tank top, you're gonna see the fluffiness come out, and then they complain and bitch about dieting down the next 6 months, in which they're because they suicide bulked. No, well, not suicide bulk, but because they bulk like kamikaze retard, they got a suicide cut now, and oftentimes these extreme dieting tendencies are counterbalanced with a very extreme rebound. So they spent they spent 6 months gaining weight, which is retarded as fuck, packing on as much size and strength as they can, and they spend the next 6 months because they want to get summer shredded for the fucking beach, right? And so they suicide cut, and they end up looking very emaciated. Now the keto bodybuilder decided to go the lean route. I can't even speak right now. The point of this is such feat necessitate an accrual of body fat, and the end result is a more jacked-looking natural bodybuilding. So if natural bodybuilders didn't have to diet down to below 8%, they look incredible. In my opinion, they still look relatively jacked. They look incredible. Not only would they retain their size, they retain a healthy amount of vascularity, in which would be jaw-dropping under certain circumstances. These circumstances I'm going to reveal as well. Now, point number 2. The lighting is butt fucking horrible most of these natural bodybuilding shows. If you examine, I was watching a recent video by Igor, the Vitruvian Physiques channel, and yeah, he was showing his contestants who he was up against. And by the way, Vitruvian Physique built an incredible physique, lifetime natural. Hell, I know people who would die to have this physique, right? And, I was inspired by Vitruvian Physique to train, and I took inspiration from him in certain aspects, right? And so essentially, he was showing these natural bodybuilders on stage, and I was just thinking, my first reaction to this is, wow, this lighting is fucking horrible. Like look at the lighting. I'm like, I will show you the lighting on screen. What the fuck is this shit? Now, like, imagine dieting down. Like, however many months you spent dieting down, right? Only for the lighting to be butt fuck horrible. You can't see your vascularity. You can't see your veins, because they decided to have this deadpan lighting which washes you the fuck out. Your six pack, your abs are barely visible. You look like absolute shit. Now, yeah, it's as if whoever conducts the presentation of these shows deliberately goes out of their way to make the contestants appear fucking horrible. It's as if it's as if they have routine contests. Hey, how can we make the contestants look shittier this year? Oh, I know. Let's have deadpan lighting. Let's have lighting that shines, like that shines in front of them. Now, the best lighting, everyone knows this shit. The best lighting is overhead lighting. Overhead lighting is the greatest lighting ever. So, yeah, it's. However, the light sources these organizers conduct, right? These organizers, yeah, it's washed out. It makes contestants appear flat and less muscular than they actually appear. Overhead lighting, overhead lighting is so crucial to the overall component. It's as if this might be a tangent, but if you compare NBA 2K14 for the first, you remember that trailer that came out, whatever? It was just incredible, jaw dropping. Now, the character models themselves were at their infancy compared to NBA 2K15 and NBA 2K16 on. The character models got better. However, NBA 2K14, the lighting, the game developers place a lot of their stock, a lot of their time in the lighting. And it really paid the fuck off. Like, holy shit, these characters really shine the fuck off. Now, you can have these amazing models. You can carve every crevice on LeBron James's goddamn face. Hell, you You can make Anthony Davis's hairline as sharp as you fucking can, right? Like, you can make his model brow look incredible. You can make the shine off of fucking Michael Jordan's head look shiny as possible. However, if you don't have that fucking lighting to, if it's not paired with the proper lighting to give it that overall pop and the effects, you're just masking whatever the hell time you placed in designing these character models. No one can see the visual appeal of them. Like, your aesthetics are masked, and that's what these bodybuilding shows do. Hell, take the New York Pro, no, not the New York Pro, but the California Pro of 2019, for instance. Hell, some idiot thought it was a grandiose idea to shine the lighting directly at the contestant. So the light was shined on all fucking angles. It's like, and you're looking at the show, or whatever. It's like, bro, these guys look like they're 10 weeks out from the show. They look like they have another 10 weeks of dieting. However, they're shredded as fuck. They posted pictures on Instagram. And they look drop dead incredible. Like, holy fuck. And then you see them on stage, and you're like, yo, where the hell did all this definition go? And then these idiots on social media, they say, hey, you should have brought this conditioning on the show. And it's like, my dude, they had, the difference between the images you're seeing now and today or whatever on stage, it's like 5 fucking hours apart. Now, it's not like they carb loaded and they lost all their goddamn cuts in their gains. No, the lighting is butt fuck ugly in these shows. And natural bodybuilding shows are exactly that. They give the contestants these terrible light conditions, paired with these horrible dieting standards, what is a recipe for disaster. And these characters and these competitors appear very subpar. If you meet them in person, they're jacked as fuck. They're huge dudes. However, they're fighting an uphill battle with they're fighting an uphill battle. They've got to compete with shitty lighting and shitty dieting conditions and dieting standards, in which brings me to my third point. Natural bodybuilders should not have to abide by the standards of professional enhanced athletes. These athletes who just take steroids and other anabolic drugs that give them this advantage during their cut, during their bulk, during their pre-contest, even post-contest, right? They're taking these compound substances that give them these unfair advantages. Now, natural bodybuilders still have to diet down below below 10% body fat. They have to do that, below 8% body fat. Why the fuck are these contestants doing that? So yeah, they're losing a bunch of size. They're losing a bunch of strength, and that's extremely, that weighs heavy on your psychological well-being. You went from benching 225 for 10 reps to barely getting fucking 225 for 3 reps. That is psychologically damaging. As someone who went on extreme bulk, followed by a cut that was 6 to 8 months long, losing strength was extremely painful. It was just like, it felt like I was regressing and I was going backwards. As a natural bodybuilder, even though you're not a power lifter, even though you're in this game of vying for aesthetics, you correlate strength with size. The biggest naturals, the most aesthetic naturals, often have a healthy amount of strength to accommodate their size, to accommodate their aesthetics. Which was why I laugh at the functional training bros or the diehard power, the diehard novices who love strength to the point of saying that, oh, like, you're only going to be aesthetic without being strong. No, the most aesthetic are often extremely. They're often extremely strong for their size. They're stronger than the average Joe down the fucking street. It's that they're not specializing in powerlifting. So, yeah, I'm not sure what else topics I can delve into. It's a 14-minute video. I think it's long enough. I've rambled enough. But yeah, in summation, natural bodybuilding shows suck because they have terrible lighting. They're forced to diet down to these unhealthy body fat percentages that are just sub 8%. And there are people who can diet down to these body fat percentages and feel relatively great. Hell, the keto bodybuilder is a prime example of this. Even Shred Bundy, Joe Delaney, yeah, he's excellent at dieting down below sub 10% body fat. Like he feels great as far as I'm concerned. The only complaint he had is when he was going upstairs, like he said this, whatever. His steps don't have enough weight to them. So, and he also gained a bunch of he gained a little bit of percentage to his body fat. He said, like he bluntly said, hell, I feel no different. So yeah, that shows you how far the genetic, how far genetics go. Some people can be sub 10% body fat year round. However, there are certain levels of shred that individuals can actually maintain, and that yeah, there's a certain level of shred that we can all maintain while without not feeling like shit. You know, me for instance, like I never thought that I could be this lean while being year round without feeling like shit. I thought, oh man, like you know, having visible abs, you know, a visible bicep vein, a visible chest and shoulder veins. I thought that shit was impossible. I wouldn't be able to have this shit. You know, it's impossible because my genetics just aren't covered that. However, if you go back in time to when I was fucking 14, right? I was a fucking noodle, you know, string bean noodle with visible abs. So it's like, bro, if you were able to do that when you were a kid, it's possible to do that when you're an adult. Like it's fucking possible. Like you can do it. You can diet down to a certain extent. However, there's levels of this shit. And yeah, so nationed bodybuilding shows, natural bodybuilding shows would be much better if they simply just allow competitors to walk in a bit more fluffier, not 20% fluffier, in between roughly the 8 to 10% fluffiness range, right? Hell, even 6%, you know, 6 to 10 would be optimal, right? Give them better lighting and also stop forcing them to abide by these professional bodybuilding standards. Like, that shit needs to fucking die. Alright, guys, that's it. Peace.
Living a golden experience. My life too lit, it's delirious. I keep that star on my back. Look at my face, can't fear shit. Built to the top like a pyramid. My lineage lit and it's serious. Bring the beat life like Jorno. Young gang star, flip the kill switch. Jojo, pose, pose, pose. Jojo, pose, pose, pose. Jojo, pose, pose, pose.